Welcome to the 14th episode of the DINER podcast. Let's grab a coffee and chat about the recent happenings in the art industry. Today we want to talk a bit about the changes to the podcast, what's happening and why, writer's strike and the effect it made on the industry from now on, and keep listening until the end to find out how me and Rita find the best references and how we apply them to our pieces. I guess we can start from the most important news, news about the art diner. I've been loyally keeping up with this weekly posting schedule for 2 months now. And no, I'm not here telling you that I'm tired or anything, which I am, but that's unrelated. My plan into going this weekly posting schedule was to revive the podcast, sure, but also have some accountability when it comes to how much I post on YouTube. And throughout the years, I have been posting and then stopping to post, then coming back again and then stopping to post. And I did this for all of my socials, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch even. I would keep coming back because I really like doing this content, but then I get overwhelmed and stop because of real life errands or simply the workload of my main job. And I always wanted to do more variety of videos on this channel and have this podcast as something like on the side. Therefore now I am going to try something new here. I will try to make tutorials, draw with me, sketchbook tours, as I have so many of them, and maybe even occasional streams. We will see. So one video a week is not really going anywhere. I just want to space out the art diner so I have room to do other ideas too. I'm not sure yet whether or not these episodes will be spaced out by like a week or by 2 weeks. But yeah, let me know in the comments, guys, what type of videos you want to see from me and what do you think about this idea. Yeah, let's get into the topics. So, the other day, I rewatched Joker with my family. A really great movie, by the way, for those who haven't seen it before. Have you seen it, Rita?
Oh, I have. I was avoiding this movie for forever, but my mom is like the number one Joker fan. She was like, you have to watch this movie. And we're like, no. But then mom was like, guess what? It's my birthday. Since it's my birthday, we're gonna watch this movie. No, honestly, I went to the movie with like a neutral expectations kind of thing. But the movie's such a drag and it's such a... Anyways, not a fan.
I didn't find it like that though. I actually liked it so much again the second time that it got me thinking about the second part and when it would come out. I've looked it up and it says currently that the release is set for next year, 2024, October. I've heard before that they had already wrapped filming, but there's a really big factor that might play in the movie's release date being delayed, which is the Writers and Screen Actors Guild strike. Have you heard about them?
I mean, it's unescapable at this point. You think it's because of the strike?
So it hasn't been said that it's gonna be delayed, but I'm suspecting some delays, maybe. I've researched on the internet and it says that this shouldn't be the case as most of the film is in post right now. Yeah. Unless there might be any scenes that need a reshooting, and that might be why it could be delayed. So I don't know, like it's up to chance, right? But the strike actually ended pretty recently. Have you heard anything about the outcome of that?
Well, I personally have. Yeah, I watched the whole Adam Conover sort of run through on a podcast.
Oh, then maybe you know even more than me. I'm just gonna introduce it to the listeners if they don't know it. So there has been a strike happening of writers and actors. It lasted 148 days. That's a lot of time. Essentially, what was demanded on their end was increased minimum pay, streaming residuals, and guardrails against the use of AI. And regarding the latter, they reached the point where the companies are allowed to use AI, but have no right to use the writer's work to train it. I think these safeguards are really important, and I really like this quote from Amy Berg that I found. She's a screenwriter and showrunner. She said, "These protections ensure that we keep authorship of everything. We can use AI as a tool if we choose, but we cannot be forced to use it for any reason. AI, as we know, doesn't create anything. It synthesizes and plagiarizes, and the phrasing of the language in this deal acknowledges that. What's more, I have a feeling that any loopholes that the companies might seek to exploit will be quickly closed thanks to the copyright law." What do you think about that? And if I missed anything, please fill in the gap.
AI thing is like, I read it and makes me and other people go like, because it's really hard to say. On one hand, the companies have to disclose if they are using AI, but then you're like, will they? You know?
I think it's very not worth it for them to use it because they cannot train the AI on their writers' writings.
Yeah, but they couldn't train AI on our work in general, to be used for commercial purposes.
But the thing is, the copyright law says that AI cannot be copyrighted. So there's another thing where like, if a company does not make money of this thing and it cannot be copyrighted, then the company is not going to do it because at the end of the day, company's purpose is to make money.
Imagine they can have a baseline written by AI and then you edit it with a real human.
Yeah.
How can people distinguish which is made with the AI then?
What this law, I think, helps with is if the writer does not agree with the AI being there, they can sue the company.
I think that as a law, it's great. What my concern is that these companies are going to find ways to push AI anyways. That's why, my hope is to get complete no AI.
I feel like this kind of is the extent at which we can go to that no AI. It's the same for writers, whether they choose to use AI as a tool, like it was said before. Maybe some of them want to, and I don't know what type of AI they're going to use or what it's going to be trained on. Maybe their own text. I'm not sure, but like you cannot tell a person not to do it, I feel like.
Yeah, but that's a very good statement you just made. It depends on what the AI is trained on, right? Because if we look at our trained AI, to say, oh, you can't stop them from using it, it's like, yeah, but maybe we can. The illegal AI, the AI that was created from stolen work.
I can see your point. We could strike some companies, specific ones like Midjourney and all of those.
Basically, two things. One is this deal is only for 3 years that they have agreed on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the reasoning for that is because the technology is changing all the time and the whole business model can change in 3 years because things are changing so rapidly. If you make a contract for 10 years, you're sort of bided to that until the end, no matter what changes happen in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of things, but they didn't get everything. As an example, did you know that not all studios would allow writers to be on the film set? So basically, you write for a movie or a TV show, and you know how production is. When you write, you don't know how it's going to look on the screen. You don't know how it's going to look when the actor is going to say the words. Constant changes always happen as you start production. So it just makes common sense to have the writers on the shoot.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case because the studios are like, that's it. Your job is done, cutting corners basically. So what they want is that the writers should be on the set. However, it's not mandatory for the writers to be in post-production. So this is something they didn't get yet. So, in post, where the Joker is right now, I suppose, coming back to the movie, the writers of the Joker, it depends on the studio. The studio can say, nope, you can't go there, which is also crucial because in post, this is where the whole movie happens. This is where stuff is being edited out. It's crazy to me that these major studios are cutting corners like that. I'm not saying that the studio, what is it, Warner Brothers, Crazy Joker? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not saying that Warner Brothers is going to do that with the Joker, but just saying, I was just shocked, listening to, it's a podcast I've listened to. Adam Conover was with Hasanabi. There you go. So he was visiting Hassan and they had a whole 1 hour podcast digesting the whole deal and stuff. So I do recommend listening to it because it's really interesting.
Another thing to look forward to is that the acting union has now voted in favor of authorizing a potential video game strike. So we might see more of that in the future. And I'm actually really excited. I know a strike is not something to be happy for too much because they happen when it's the last resort. Everyone kind of gets that damage from, not working. But I'm excited to see how video game industry can improve on this because I think there's a lot of things that need unionization as well there.
Yeah, with video games especially because with writers and actors, you get the whatever 6 cents royalty, which is a joke, of course. Have you seen some actors posting their royalty checks? Actors who worked on Orange is the New Black, and it's crazy little money. You would think that from such a popular show, they would earn a lot of royalties, but it's nah, it's insane. And For actors and especially writers, I have a writer friend who lives in LA, and living there is expensive. And all the work is there.
Yeah.
That's why striking was so risky. That's why maybe it took so long for the strike to even happen, because the industry just make this sort of atmosphere where people cannot just go. I hope that gamers get something, because in the gaming industry, unless you're a game designer and the creator of the game, you don't get any royalties at all, unless you're maybe in a small indie company. But other than that, usually the contract just says that you are work for hire in a sense. Or like, obviously you get holidays, blah, 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 but like you give away 100%, rights of your work in the gaming industry. There are no royalties.
Yeah, I think also maybe with the AI subject, they could push something in, because I know companies, especially smaller ones, are using AI like currently, which I don't know why they're doing it, because it's just quite dumb.
They don't care.
I feel like if you have an artist who does the work for you, you have the money to pay them, then why make the artist use AI as well? Because it doesn't necessarily speed up the process. AI is currently really messy in art, and unless you're doing like promo illustrations, maybe that could like speed up the process a little bit. But to make game art, it's not making illustrations. It's not the same. Illustration making is like 1% of what game art is all about.
Yeah.
So I'm like really confused about why some companies use it. I know there's these mobile game companies here in Lithuania that they use them currently. But yeah, just really crazy idea for me. Even them risking all of this copyright thing. Because I can just take the asset and be like, okay, this is mine now. And why would they even risk it? Because they have the money to pay the artists. They have a lot of artists who are employed for them working. So it's just really, yeah. Can't wrap my head around it.
With peace and love to Lithuanian game companies, a lot of them are, especially the smaller ones, they're not like paying artists very well. Let's start with that. And second of all, you're saying for illustrations or like AI for illustrations and backgrounds, it's a faster way to do things, especially, and I just want to say that some of these directors, I suppose, people who run these companies, don't really care about the quality that much. They are highly impressed with what AI can make. Like, we can say that it looks weird, you still need to fix it. They're like, no, it looks amazing. Oh my god, this airbrushed mass of things, like it looks just perfect. To give you an example, there are certain events that already use AI for posters.
Here in Lithuania?
Yeah. There's a website that can check if the thing it was made through AI or by human. So like these posters are just like AI, not even a shadow of a doubt that it's not AI.
It's funny because I know how much they pay for posters here in Lithuania, and it's like, I don't know, it's a bit of a waste of time, to be fair. If you're not a student, if you're fully employed,
yeah,
I would not even recommend doing poster work like on the side, because it pays so little.
Yeah.
They usually just seek out students who are still in school so they can like get a free poster or something. So that's so funny that they were the first ones to use it.
Yeah, it's crazy because some of these events, they have, for example, artist alleys or something. And it's like, what are you saying to the artists? There's another event in Latvia that refuses to say that AI is banned for their poster contest, basically, for their event. Like, multiple messages were sent to them asking, like, is AI allowed? Is AI allowed? And they keep dodging the question, saying that the winner will be determined by popular vote, and we don't care, what tools the person is using, kind of like
tools.
Yeah, it's
just send them an image that does not belong to you. It will be the same, no? All of these contests say that it's not allowed to plagiarize, but AI is allowed, okay? Like, what do you mean?
It's crazy. It just reminds me, sometimes you think that Lithuania or Latvia, we're becoming more
advanced.
advanced, yeah, and then a possibility of like earning quick buck, instead of supporting your community and supporting the artists that work for you, that help your events grow. It's like, who cares if we get that extra buck? If we save that extra 100, 200, whatever, 300 euros, then fuck them. It's crazy.
It's everywhere in the world, not only these countries. And I know for Lithuania, there's also contests I've seen. There's like a fantasy or like sci-fi comic con kind of thing. I don't remember what it's called, Lithuanicon maybe. I saw they had an art contest and it specifically said no AI. So I was like really happy about that.
Yeah.
Because it's an event for basically just artists, I guess, like writers and visual artists too. So I guess because it's made by people who understand this whole AI thing, there's the rules there. But I don't know if there's other people out there who I guess don't really understand what impact this has on our industry. And they keep saying it's a tool, but starting to form a lot of documents against it too. Which I am really happy about. There's laws now, at least, something to make the gray area more clear. I'm really happy about.
Well, Lithuanicon is not profit driven. Basically, it's the oldest Lithuanian fantasy sci-fi event. It's usually a lot smaller than these other events. So I totally see why they're just for people, made by fans, for fans kind of event. And other events are more profit driven, I feel like. But still, it's such a shame. It's a shame. Like if I could be that lady from Game of Thrones with the bell being like, shame, look at your size. Look at the size of your event and you're using AI. It's such a shame.
Yeah. With the fan art contest as well, it doesn't cost you to make a rule that there shouldn't be AI because you're not really paying for anything. People are doing the content for you.
Exactly. It's so dumb.
So what's the problem? In our game dev community, there's a lot of people who are up for it. They say that, they're really proud of the technology moving forward. At least that's who I've been talking to, who are like supportive of this thing. And I think it's just really hard for them to understand from our perspective. Like I said before, if the AI just wrote code for them for their game, they probably would be happy. They would be like, oh, it's just like my game is right there. AI did everything. But then thinking from a point of, did you enjoy the typing of the prompt rather than actually learning things, doing them yourself, like for indie game developers? There's a lot of this narrow-mindedness, in my opinion, when it comes to this from like a lot of game devs that I've talked to. On another note, we can just move on from the gloomy. Well, I wouldn't say it was a very gloomy writer strike. Did something to help with this. So I'm, like at least a little bit of, step forward.
It was great. It was great because
it was great.
No, usually the news are like doom and gloom, especially that week I remember, and then suddenly it's like, oh, writers got a pretty good deal. I was like, holy shit, is that really real? Is this real?
Yeah, so let's leave it at a happy note. What do you think are the best reference websites or programs?
References. I guess references at some point can be a whole separate topic because they're a bit. Have you heard that they're a bit controversial, Ivetta?
Using references?
Yeah.
I've heard artists say that, guys, it's okay to use references and don't let other people tell you otherwise. But I've never encountered anyone telling me otherwise. So it's like mystical people who I've not encountered. They probably exist, but...
When I was younger, I was actually like scared to admit to using references. In a sense, like I had this feeling that you have to be this perfect being that just knows how to draw. But then reality comes, hits you in the face and you're like, wait a minute, everyone is using references. Am I a fool? But I do know people who to this day, they are basically not really pro references or pro studying other people's styles because they're so up their ass being unique. They're like, my art is like so special. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, sure, Jan. Yeah, so for normal people, with peace and love to those people, of course, we use references and it's absolutely okay to use references. Industry standard. I don't know. There's no other way for you to learn, really.
What do you think about people who are pro AI saying that AI using your artwork is just the same as other artists using references?
Well, I mean, again, they're full of shit, I suppose. What can I say?
It's quite dumb, isn't it?
You studying versus AI just doing the work for you. Yay, same thing. Like, and even in photo bashing, again, you are taking the photos. You know, photo bashing is not easy. Okay, people are like, oh, just taking photos, gluing them together. Yeah, but you have to adjust lighting. You have to blend everything together.
Yeah, photo bashing is not easy. If you ever tried it, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
There's that one part of the whole argument, which is, yeah, it's not made by a fucking machine. And so whenever people tell me this, or I see it in the comments on some other AI video or something, I just think like, dude, try to create something. Just sit down and try to draw. We'll see whether or not that reference that you just used will help you a lot. Like, if you are starting from scratch, you need skill to use it, okay? It's not like it's gonna you're gonna copy someone's work. In artist industry, that's not okay. Referencing is not copying stuff, okay? Hence the word reference. And you're using it through your own mind. So you're basically, however you're putting it out on your canvas is not gonna be a direct copy of that thing. AI, again, it's a robot, right? But it literally takes like photo bashing, right? And it just blends it all together. I remember photo bashing was quite controversial when people started doing it. But there's that aspect of a human does it, and that human had to train for years to be able to do it well, while a machine literally just can do unlimited amount of training sessions and never get tired. And it, you know, it's not the same, is it?
Yeah, people just really want the machines to take over. It's like, what will humans do in the end? Like, what is their end goal?
Type the buttons. They have to write the freaking prompts. Lady, girl, eating sandwich, yummy. Ross draws.
The end goal is gonna be they're sitting on the couch in their whatever version of metaverse, you know, and they will think of a movie of whatever, and suddenly it's gonna get automatically generated for them to suit their needs. Anyways, let's not even get into that. References. So references are fine.
References
are fine and good to use. And one of my favorite discoveries when it comes to references was thanks to my work colleague that introduced me to a program called PureRef.
I love PureRef.
Yay, we love PureRef on this spot. Yes. So first of all, it is a free program that you can use. You can donate money.
It's a pay what you want. Yeah.
Yeah. So I absolutely donated money, and I'll probably donate again just because. I just love PureRef. Did you ever have this issue? It's like those telecommercials where you're in Photoshop and you want your reference to be on top of Photoshop. So you either have to like paste the reference inside of your actual file, or you have to use one of those RAM consuming, Photoshop artboards, I think they're called.
Yeah.
I think I opened a Photoshop artboard once and I forgot it exists.
I know people use it though. I've heard from other people that they actually really enjoy it and they can't imagine working without them now.
Oh my God, because my friend was like, oh my God, my computer is crashing, blah, blah, blah. I can't import reference. I was like, what are you artboard? What? I was like, PureRef. And they're like, what? I was like, PureRef. And their whole world was changed.
Yeah, basically it's a program that you can keep on top, like you mentioned. And for me, the best feature in there is that, it can stay on top of any other window. And also that you can add notes inside.
Yeah.
So you can do little like artboards like on Miro or something. I really like that.
You can resize, you can crop images, flip images, rotate, do whatever you want, man. You can sort them by size, like you can make them all the same size, you know?
Another great feature that they have is if you select 10 images and you import them all at once, it's gonna like automatically make them all organized.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
It's great. I love PureRev. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But where do you find the references?
My references are all over the place right now. I want to come to a place in my life where I have like references organized. It's like, I need to find a tutorial. I'll just open this PureRev board. So basically what I'm trying to do is have PureRev boards for different topics right now. For example, tutorials on anatomy versus like fashion stuff. So I get the references from literally everywhere. So starting from tutorials, they're good because it's already an image that is broken down by someone. So for an artist, it's very, very useful because when you look at a photograph, it can be very hard to distinguish which parts are important. And when another artist breaks it down for you, shows it from different angles and stuff, you're like, oh. So these kind of references are super useful. Of course, photographic references, I either just Google what I need, but usually I end up making my own photos. I have a tripod now and like this Bluetooth shutter thing. Basically, it takes a photo from a distance. You know, you have this little button, so you don't have to set any timers or anything.
How is it called?
It is called Jobby.
Okay. We can link it in the description, right?
Yeah, it's very small. I keep losing it, but I keep finding it, thank God. Because it's so small, it connects very quickly. It's an ad for Jobby. Jobby, please sponsor us. So anyways, and and yeah, it was very useful for me nowadays when you want to take a picture of you laying down or something, or from a weird perspective. Oh, I've done so many photo shoots. And recently I've discovered instead of taking photos, I take videos. I think taking videos is more useful because you get a lot of poses at the same time, and then you just scroll through the video and then pick what you need. The only disadvantage, of course, is that I'm a very small female, so if I need to draw someone who is like taller or something or bigger, it's like I get the pose. It's like using 3D references, I guess. You get the general pose, but like you have to modify.
Yeah, well, you know, always have to modify.
So anyways, how about you?
If I have a drawing that requires some specific pose or reference, like a flower or something, I usually use Google. I also use these websites like Sketchfab, where people can upload their 3D models and you can basically view them in a 3D viewer space. So you can rotate if you need like a gun reference. You can rotate the epistle in the 3D preview. If I need something specific, I usually do that. But for like Instagram or like studies, I usually go to Pinterest. I find that it has a really good engine of search where it literally searches through visual information. I have a bunch of Pinterest boards for everything.
Yeah.
Not only like art for home as well, decor and garden and all of that.
Yeah.
But maybe a video could be made someday.
Yeah, I also use Pinterest. Pinterest is a bit controversial because people upload other people's art there a lot without credit.
Yeah, I actually really find it annoying that there's no credit.
Yeah.
When I do my Instagram studies, I am literally searching for who made the original reference for like hours, and through Google search, image search, you know, all of that. I'm searching for hours. And sometimes I just can't find it. Like, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Pinterest should change something about it. Like, don't let people upload without some information, some metadata hooked onto the image.
Yeah.
There's a way that, like, maybe they could not accept certain links or something like that, so that the reference to the original site would always be there.
Yeah.
And I really like when there's credit on the image. So always, guys, remember for your drawings as well, always write on top of the image, this is why you need it. If anyone ever finds your image and they want to know where it came from, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I always also like to take my own photos as well, but mainly for hands. If I need a specific reference for example, I used to have coworkers around me when I was working at the studio in-house, and I would just take photos of them if I needed a specific reference.
Yeah, it's good to have coworkers for man hands. Well, I work from home right now, so.
A lot of people find references very sinful to use, right? But the truth is, we are humans, we're not AI, and we cannot remember everything. You can have studied the object and you can have an idea of how it looks like. For example, an apple, right? In our brain, an apple is red and it has that cartoon shape, right? But if you draw it, you'll notice that it looks flat. And if you want to draw a realistic apple, you're missing a lot of information because our brain does not remember that much, because we need to remember everything about every material, every object that we've seen.
Unless you draw apples for a living, you know, you've drawn apples for 20 years, and apple in any lighting, any angle, I can draw it, baby. But that's the thing, it's like, you can't. When I was younger, I had this stupid idea, I remember. It's like, okay, I will learn to draw very specific things, I guess, so that I'm able to draw these specific things. Even Kim Jong-gi. I was waiting for you to fix my pronunciation.
안녕하세요. 사랑해요. Bula.
I guess all the K-pop you're listening to is paying out.
No, this is all from dramas. Oh. That's my extent of Korean knowledge.
Okay, I have a drama question.
Really?
Is it true that they insert ads like in between randomly, or like as a break? Suddenly you have like screenshots of just what happened and then there are ads.
I've never encountered that, but you know, they have ad breaks like everyone else does.
Yeah.
But where I watch them, like on Netflix or other websites, they just cut those out.
Yeah.
Maybe if you watch in Korea on the TV.
I've seen some memes and they're very funny. So anyways, even Kim Jong-gi uses references, but the way he used to use references was very interesting because he would study, like look at a lot of images. Like he sort of learned to remember a lot of things, but he would just look at images for some time to remember them, and then he would draw.
I feel like you're pushing the reference description a little bit. I would say this is more about the visual learning. In my idea of a reference, it would be a bit separate from using a reference and studying nature or photos and not drawing at the same time.
Yeah, fair.
I would say, because you're kind of building that visual library, but then when you sit down to draw, usually you cannot take everything from your visual library because it's, you know, it's filled with many different things, and then, you know, you have to look up something. And I always teach my students, you need to get a reference. Don't wait, don't struggle. That's gonna waste so much time. If you just get a perfect reference, just worry about that, and then instantly it's gonna go like butter again.
Yeah, for sure. Because again, a lot of art, everything comes from your skill, and the way you use reference as you become more and more skillful, you sort of intertwine your own style and knowledge of how you will interpret that reference in the way you draw. Even tracing a reference. A master artist versus a novice, you will see, you know, you will not even notice if a master traced something, you know, because sometimes I need to trace a car part or something. I'm not going to draw that. Hell no, you know, but you do it in a masterful way that it looks like it's part of your style. You still shade it in a more simplistic way. Well, for me, for example. So yeah, references, use them.
Yeah, that wraps up our episode for this week. And guys, if you have any topic suggestions or ideas, please share in the comments below. Drop a like on the video since it helps us reach more listeners. Thank you for sticking out until the end, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.